Our heart is a door. Now, isn't that an interesting statement? We've been working with Michael Singer for the last 4 weeks, and a talk he gave actually on the heart as the practice of being a witness in our heart, being a witness consciousness. So we're now at the week where we're working with emotion in the heart. We worked with the thoughts in the mind first. And what he's saying now is that we don't actually have to work with emotions. What we really need to do is be present. So today we're going to do an inquiry into some of the blockages in the heart, some of the cracks and some of the things that isn't quite resolved, some of the energy. And we're not going to do it in terms of a therapeutic approach where we might work with the emotions or the thoughts. We're going to work with staying with the energy as he's talking about. And he's saying his promise is that they'll turn into love. We just have that pure energy passing through the heart. And I've experienced that. I know all of us have experienced that, at least for brief moments, where everything settles down and we just feel, and there's nothing wrong. And that's what we're looking to open into more so that we can have more of that freedom. And then he says, now the mind's quiet and we have the heart being a neat place to be. Now we're ready to take our spiritual journey. And I found that to be so true, that we all have deep, deep stillness in the mind. We have a varying access to that. Sometimes we'll have access quite reliably for a while, and other times it will blink in and out. But we all have that. It's not something we need to create or go looking for in a way. It's something that as we settle the mind and settle the emotions, settle the energy, stabilize the nervous system, then that just is here. That becomes our experience. And that's part of what he's talking about, is settling our body and our nervous system in order to go deeper into the higher spiritual states. These states are a little bit harder to talk about than some of the stuff that goes on the mind and the heart, but we'll work with it anyway. We started with this resistance to life that he talks about, that we create a lot of thoughts in the mind that have to do with threats and danger, and that is just how our nervous system works. So we don't need to give ourselves a hard time for that. We always want things to be in such a way that we feel safe and happy and connected. And there's thoughts in the mind that are generated from that. And there's a lot of activity in the heart, whether it's sensations and energy, or thoughts, or emotions, feelings. And part of this, again, comes back to the nervous system. We have a survival level need to be included, especially as children, because literally children need shelter, food, care. And we also need emotional connection. And that's something that we continue to need throughout our life. So we're really sensitive. It's a life threat if we don't have reliable, empathetic, attuned connection. And so many of us did not have that. And so now we're looking more inward for that. We can regulate ourselves enough that our more experienced and mature adult self can be here with us and provide that. So when we have that protection going on, if we're in fight, flight, or freeze, we're not able to really enjoy our life as much. And it's a practice. And it's not something that we just, like you see sometimes in the movies or something, or in books about, oh, the spiritual teacher had an awakening and now they're forever in a bliss state. That's not usually what happens. It certainly hasn't happened for me in that way. I have had many openings, and then the habits start to come in. Nervous system starts to get into that fight, flight, or freeze again. And then as we do these practices and we develop more strength and resilience in our nervous system, we have more and more moments in time when we actually aren't in a fight, flight, or freeze. And then we have access to the deeper stillness in the mind. We're going to do some inquiry here. So emotion is just energy. It passes through the blockages of the heart. And one of the ways that we could work with that is to witness what's coming and going. And another way is to do some inquiry around. You look at that beautiful amber heart, there's a lot of cracks and dense spots and dark spots and light spots in that amber stone. if we look at that as a metaphor for what's going on in our own hearts, we've got a lot of cracks and dense parts in our hearts. I think that's certainly true for me. I imagine it is for most of us. Some of those are from the past, and a lot of them are things that we've worked with already. And I thought we could take several minutes. Bring yourself into your physical body and take a few breaths if that's comfortable. And notice what's going on inside right now. We're going to take several minutes to sit with the opening and closing of our heart, these deep movements in our heart area. We could go right into the area of our body, the area protected by the rib cage. Notice what are the sensations that are there. Some people would have an image, perhaps, of any sensations that are there. Others wouldn't. I don't generally get images of sensation, but some do. So it's just the way our brains work. Let's sit with that for a bit. What comes to your attention when you think about the cracks and the dark spots in your heart? One of the things that we're noticing and looking at is what is taking me out of awareness of this. Oftentimes there'll be thoughts. Very often it's thoughts in the mind. What we're doing is we're witnessing the energy and sensations in the heart, the emotions, the thoughts. What is associated with these sensations in the heart right now? The energy. Sometimes it helps to have an anchor. You might try to remain aware of your breath, or your feet, your seat. Continue to witness. You might be sitting very aware of the energy as it comes and goes. You might have followed a train of thought about an emotion. That's fine too. Just bring yourself back. We're not trying to block out what's here, and we're not going along with it either. We're witnessing, we're staying present. Some of these cracks and blockages are unhealed, stored trauma. Might be that there's a lot of associated thoughts or memories. We could witness that as well. Let yourself be steady. Let yourself rely on that steadiness. You could stay present. Let the light of your attention be here as well. A traumatic memory might come up, or a time when you felt brokenhearted or closed hearted. Notice how you know that. There's probably some thoughts, certain energy. See if you could stay with it. Stay anchored here in the present. Let it come, let it go through. If you find that you're gritting your teeth, being aggressive about this, see if you could lighten that up too. You might step back from it a little bit, notice your body, let your breath kind of regulate your system again. If you've gotten really engaged with thoughts, see if you can come back with some awareness in the heart. Let yourself have the full experience as well as witnessing what it is that's going on. And if you find that you're a little bit numb or disconnected, you might bring forward something, bring forward a memory of something and see, is there still some energy around that? Or there might be memories that are just kind of floating in. That time when that person turned away from you when you were 13, or that time last week when, just notice that there's a lot of content here. See if you can allow whatever's here to flow through without getting too engaged with it. Stay as a witness. If you find that you're too engaged or there's something going on that's a bit too disturbing, then bring yourself back. We don't have to push. We could come back, notice the body again. Take a few deep breaths. Hold your hand or put your hand on your heart. Remember that we're doing a practice. We don't have to do it all at once. If you've disengaged, see if you could come back in a little bit, maybe with a good memory or one that feels more healed. Notice the energy and allow yourself to stay present. None of the memories are happening in this moment. They're all things from the past. We're feeling them in this moment. We're noticing them. You could invite in something, ask your heart, what do I need to heal? What is it that's still a crack or feels broken? What is it that I could bring forward and witness and be present with? And see if you could bring some empathy and compassion and love. Many of these experiences are very painful. Could we bring our own loving attention to ourselves and to our heart? In a few moments, we're going to finish this part of the inquiry. Notice that. Come back into witnessing. Let whatever it is that's here move through. And notice what it is that came through. Was there anything surprising or that you weren't really aware of? Was there any capacity for connection and compassion, or were you a little bit more distant or cold hearted? What was your experience over the last several minutes? What did you learn? What did you observe? So we come out of that inquiry practice and that witnessing. Tune in for a moment, not so much to your emotional heart, but to your heart chakra, the energy field. So, and this is a more subtle, same location, more subtle. The heart being the fourth chakra is not the highest chakra. Michael Singer is saying the heart is the door, and we work with the consciousness in the heart, and we live in the heart, not in our mind and the head, and not in our emotions, but to notice how every single movement of life affects the heart. So we're alive, we're here, we're present, we're engaged. We're not looking to be blissed out and not noticing our life. This is very much an embodied practice. We're here. And in order to be really experiencing the joy in life and in meditation and spiritual life, we need to be present in our body. We need to find ways to tolerate the pain and discomfort of what's going on in our body and in our emotions. And as that settles, the nervous system has more of a chance of staying out of fight, flight, freeze. We can be more regulated. That's our jumping off spot, so to speak, into the silence and the stillness in the mind and the higher spiritual states. This is something that we all have access to at times, and that we can open that access wider as well.